Welcome back to Marriage After the A Word, episode 4.
4, wow.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about sleep as our main topic, or the lack of.
Definitely lacking of sleep.
Last week we didn't do listeners' questions, so I thought if we started with that, because we've had a few come in.
Yeah.
So for our section, because autism didn't come with a manual, the first one was, how did you decide between specialist and mainstream school?
Sure. Big decision. The whole school process.
Yeah,
Thinking
massive.
about it was huge, wasn't it?
100%. So Noah, just for context, is going to a mainstream primary school. We're obviously in a slightly different position with this question because I actually work at a mainstream primary school and that's where he is going.
Yeah.
So whether I would answer this in the same way if that wasn't the case, maybe not. But I obviously know that kind of where we work, or where I work, like we are really inclusive, and I really believe in kind of how we cater to the needs of all children, whether they have additional needs or not. So for me, I was really kind of conflicted about this, wasn't I, Stuart? Like I couldn't decide what I thought was best for Noah.
And also the impact it would have on your work life with him going to your school.
Yeah. But then, and it was tricky because I was like, you were kind of like, well, what do you think, Em? Like, whatever you think, weren't you?
Well, it impacts you the most, doesn't it?
But not thinking about me for Noah.
Yeah.
Like, you were still like, what do you think, Em? And I felt a lot of pressure from that. And I was like, I need like input here. So like you and Mum did have a look round some kind of hubs, didn't you? So where we are, we're right on the border between Essex and Suffolk. And kind of around where we live, the specialist provision in Suffolk, which is the county that Noah's EHCP is under, has more specialist hubs, don't they, rather than specialist schools in our area. So we looked at some of them.
And they were really quite good, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely felt when we looked around those hubs and they were complex needs hubs, so they weren't specific to autism. And we felt that Noah could definitely fit in there. There were peers who seemed to have similar needs to him. And I think that's a really big positive for kind of a specialist provision, is that actually if your child is going to benefit from being around other children who are a similar peer group to themselves and they're going to fit in that sense, then that's a really important factor. But we've kind of found that actually the children that he interacts with most are neurotypical children, or children who are that bit older who can kind of take the lead on play and entice him in. So I think for us, maybe we felt that actually a mixed peer group of children, yes, with special needs, but also neurotypical children, would maybe benefit him more. And also like he copies, doesn't he? So we were kind of had that thought around the fact that actually if he, obviously all children have different behaviours, but with Noah you can't necessarily explain that a behaviour isn't okay because he doesn't have that understanding. So I think I was a little bit worried if he was around children with needs where they were quite physical potentially and had those physical outbursts, maybe he would start mirroring that behaviour. But equally, like there is loads of positives to specialist school. I don't know, what did you think about the whole kind of specialist and mainstream?
It was a real big decision in terms of half of me kind of thought he would fit into some of his traits would fit into a mainstream school setting and he would thrive in that setting. And part of me thought, oh God, maybe he needs to go to a specialist setting.
Because you were quite worried that he'll be quite different in mainstream.
Yeah.
And might stick out a bit.
And kind of, is he going to get bullied? Is he going to be different? Is he going to like it?
And I think like for me, I didn't even really think around the whole kind of bullying aspect, because actually, obviously all your experiences and thoughts to do with school are based on when you were at school. And I think actually children and just society generally were much less inclusive then when we were children.
I think that is a good point.
Whereas now like there are so many children with different needs and the kids don't even think about it, do they? Like when we look around the mainstream, like there were loads of children who have additional needs, but actually they're just fitting in and their needs are met, but they're not seen as different and they're definitely not bullied for it. Differences are celebrated.
Difference seems to be the norm. Whereas
100%.
when I was at school, it was like you had to fit in, you had to do something, you had to be in the cool gang, and if you weren't, God,
Yeah.
it was.
And
Whereas now,
maybe secondary is a bit more like that, to be fair.
maybe.
And I think I would definitely not be thinking, oh yeah, mainstream secondary. I think that would be a different story entirely. But for us, we felt that and also like we spoke about, didn't we? Like with the specialists, because really we only had an option of hubs rather than schools. We were like, oh, is he just going to get bored? Like if he's in this one room for year on year. And Noah like really enjoys kind of exploring, doesn't he? And like space and new things. So we were a little bit concerned that maybe if that was for the whole of his primary school, that he might get a bit bored, because they know that in all the hubs we looked at, there was kind of a key stage 1 and key stage 2 one, and there was just that one base for the whole of primary. So that's obviously really different to a mainstream where each year you move either with your peer group or the class gets mixed. Equally, you get different teachers.
God, I'm so lost.
Yeah. And there's so many factors, and I think there's no right or wrong. I think every child
you knew
is
everything
different.
about the whole school system, whereas I knew nothing. And it's like peer groups. What does that even mean? And that's just like other children.
Yeah.
And it's like Noah has got an EHCP,
Yep.
which for a lot of people is really difficult to get. Luckily, well, I say us, you mainly kind of got that and that, but I don't know, I've gone along for the ride. We've already set him up for school in the best possible way in terms of the provision that he's got and going there with. So I think that will definitely help. Whereas other people, they may not be kind of where we're at as a family group in terms of the setup.
Yeah, and I think like...
And that's huge. Then that's down to you. But for me, the whole system is kind of flawed with... You go to people and experts and people who are meant to help, and they just sort of throw numbers and letters and all these things at you. And I'm like, God, you have to like cipher through it all. It should be supporting rather than literally you have to bash down doors to get anything.
Yeah, and I think like, if you hear this, don't think, oh my goodness, my child's got need, but they haven't got an EHCP yet, because there are 100% things, like if that's you, then your child will likely be going to mainstream, but equally there's the opportunity to defer your child for a year and that was something we toyed with, but that's a big topic.
Yeah.
But equally, even if your child has need, but either you're in the EHCP process, like the school will be able to apply for IPRA funding, which is another specialist acronym. Don't actually know what it means.
Oh, something you don't know. I like that.
I don't know what IPRA stands for, but it's essentially, it's like a funding allocation for a child to help with that transition into school, or there are some other things that it can be for, like medical wise and stuff. But for a lot of children where actually the HCP hasn't been finalised yet, they will come into school and get IPRA funding, which allows them to still have support, because the school will still get money to support them in the short term, so that then they can apply for the HCP if that's needed.
And the HCP, what does that stand for?
Education Health Care Plan.
And that's what Noah's got. And essentially, there's different levels, because Noah's got full funding for a one-on-one support every day.
No, it doesn't actually work like that. He hasn't got that, but different counties work differently. So in Essex, it is or currently anyway, whether it will be kind of changed.
And why is that? Why is it different counties? Why are we all separate? Why can't there just be
it would make it much easier.
One rule for everybody?
But going back to what it works like, because you asked and it might help people, is that, so in Essex, the provision comes with a banding, and that banding is a certain amount of money. So the school will put in the first amount of money to support that child, and then they will get top-up funding from the local authority, and that will be based on the provision in their plan, how much they get.
I'm still a bit lost.
Basically, money based on what the plan says. In Suffolk, it works differently, and actually you get a plan, and then retrospective to that, the school then has to say, well, I've put this provision in place, this is the money I need, and they do that each term. So Noah doesn't actually have a money set to it yet, but based on their system and based on the provision it is, I've fought and now got in there that it's one-to-one and it's all the time.
And you have had to fight, haven't you? Because we've had a couple of drafts and they haven't quite been good enough. And that's only down to you really pushing and really fighting that we've got it changed and
100%.
catered for
It is
specifically
definitely
for
a
Noah?
fight, but equally, like, again, not to scare people, it is reviewed annually for all children. So actually, if your first DHCP isn't kind of what it needs to be, it can be reviewed annually. You work alongside the school, and it can be changed. Equally, the SENCO at the school, which is the special educational needs coordinator, can go back to county and say, actually, this isn't the right funding for this child, I can't meet need.
I'm not being funny, but it's just so frightening. If you don't have an educational background, SENCO,
But then
all these terms.
you don't need to, because the school, that's their job. They will do that for you and support you.
Yeah, but my point being, in terms of the HCP and all the other processes, it's been a fight. So
quite
you're
often
giving
the school
your
will
child
do
to a
that.
school,
Yeah.
and you're basing the whole of your child's next 6 years on one visit of an hour.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like,
for sure.
for me, it was really frightening. The whole
And
experience.
it is a really big thing, and like we still question it now, don't we? And
Yeah.
like, although he is going to mainstream in September, and I do feel like that is right for him, I do not expect that he will be a mainstream for the whole of primary. He will probably need to move to a more specialist provision.
Yeah.
But equally, we don't know that, and we don't know how he's going to develop, and that was the thing I found really hard. I think, going back to the question about like how did we decide between specialists and mainstream, for me, in a specialist provision, you're mainly won't have one-to-one support, whereas in a mainstream you may be able to get that kind of funded, which we have. So for me and for us, and based on how Noah is in nursery, we felt that actually having that one-to-one support and that real key relationship would allow him to flourish more than potentially being in a specialist place where actually other children's behaviours may kind of take that support, because Noah isn't necessarily physical and hurting other people, but he equally won't necessarily do anything unless there's someone there kind of supporting him along the way.
And he needs quite a lot of
support.
So
that was for us one reason we went mainstream. Also, with regard to kind of having that wider range of peers, he actually does quite like busyness, doesn't he? And like that kind of we felt that the early years provision, like the early years kind of play setup or how it works and learning setup, how it works at the school he's going to, will really work with him. And yeah, that was kind of for us why we went that. And also, there, to be completely honest, there wasn't any specialist places that we felt were worth fighting for. As in, at this point in time, I was like, I don't feel like any of them are right for him compared to mainstream.
And we could have put a specialist school down as, because you have to list them, don't you? You have to list one.
Yeah, so you have to say, no, just one. So normal admissions you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that was where you do that's for all children, and that's where you do your choices. So you couldn't put any specialist school there. That's just mainstreams. When you get an EHCP, as a parent, you can say who you want them to consult with and where you would like your child to go. So that's when we did say some of the hubs, just to see if we'd get in really, but we didn't get in.
And also, on the first form we got, it was like Noah has been allocated the local school, which we didn't want him to go to.
But that wasn't through the HCP, that was normal admissions. Yeah. And then luckily, because he had the HCP and he already had the other the place through his HCP, that trumped normal admissions. But yeah, it shows, doesn't it? Like, it is so confusing. And actually, although I am in education, I'd never done admissions before or done an EHCP before for my own child. So it still was quite a learning curve. But there are lots of like places out there, like I used Send IAS, which is a helpful charity website. They offer loads of support, so reach out to them. Also, like social media, like I'm massively connected with people, so I had some really helpful kind of mums from the school who said, oh, do this, and the annoying thing is, you learn like, oh, I would do XYZ after you've done it, and unless you've got another child that you're going to do it again for, it's like, oh, I'm now an expert at this, but it's too late, because until you've done it and until you've found their annoying ways that they do and don't do, you don't know it.
And the biggest thing for me was, don't just take what you're given as concrete. You can fight and you can get it changed.
100%. And they will say it all quite often. Well, the ones we've found, obviously this is only based on our experience, but it's like, oh, this is what's happening. And they say it as if it's a fact. And it's like, well, actually, no, that's not. Like, that's not true. And yeah, it has been a fight. But I think yeah, it is difficult. And I also think, like, someone said to me, this isn't forever, and actually you've just got to make your best guess now. Like, do what you think is right at this moment in time. Things can change. Like, you can get provision change, you can change school, like, nothing is forever, so just do what you think is right. And also, I think for us, like, all we want is for him to be happy and settled, and we are confident that the school he is going to is like a really inclusive, nurturing, loving school and have the children's best interests at heart, and that's all we can ask for, really.
And he's currently in a mainstream setting in nursery.
Yep.
And he gets on,
and they've been great,
and they've been really good, haven't they? Like,
yeah, and like, he doesn't have as much support as he will have there, because obviously the HCP's only just come in, so although he will have full funding, full one-to-one in school, he only has that for some of the time at nursery, and he still manages okay. I think also, like, another thing that I thought of is that, like, between mainstream and specialist, for us, it was like, Noah, if he's with other children with needs or who have difficulties with understanding, when Noah's doing certain things, that could really become quite an issue. Whereas actually with a child who you can explain things to, or say, oh, just let Noah move that sheep there and then he'll go off and play, it doesn't then become a bigger issue. So I think they're kind of understanding, and like, the kids are great, aren't they? They, like, he's got some lovely little ones at nursery who really look after him and kind of...
And he really likes that, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he does. So I do think for us and for Noah, mainstream was the right choice initially, but equally, like, there are so many kind of different factors, and actually every child's different, and equally every school's different. And another thing, because this was just the last thing I'll end on that question, was one of my friends who isn't from an education background has got a child with quite complex needs like Noah. He's autistic, he's non-speaking. And she was saying how, everyone just assumes that a specialist educational needs school is going to be better for a child with specialist education needs. And I was like, yeah, that's true. But you've got to think, and for some children with special needs, it will be better. But equally, different specialist schools has different focuses. So actually, you could have a specialist school around the corner and its focus might be on speech and language, but your child's primary need might be physical. You might have a specialist school where its focus is moderate learning disabilities, but actually your child's main kind of area of need is sensory differences. So just because it's a specialist school, it doesn't mean it's going to be specialist and fit in with your child. So you've just got to think, actually, or this is what we did. It's like looking at Noah as a whole. He's got quite a lot of different needs in a lot of different areas, but equally, like you kind of started with, we felt that actually a lot of Noah actually will thrive in a mainstream setting with the correct support, which obviously we've fought for. So I think it's just thinking about actually what can XYZ school offer me, and how is that going to help my child? And also, it's not forever. Seek support, speak to the school staff, because they will be honest.
I think the one thing for me is just sort of trust your gut and trust you, what you think, because you're his parents. We know him best, and you know your child best. So you've seen the setting. Yeah, you only just sort of scratch the surface, but you kind of get a vibe,
you get a feel, don't you?
And go with that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Fight for that.
Okay, so the second question was, what do you find the hardest thing? For us, it's her lack of speech. What do you find the hardest thing?
Sorry, we'll start this again. Her lack of speech.
Yeah, that's what the person said. They said... what they're asking us, what do we find the hardest thing? They're saying for their child.
Someone's messaged us.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is listeners' questions.
We didn't say that. You didn't say listeners' questions.
I said that right at the start. That was the other question. Now we're doing the second question.
What? Who?
Right, let's try that again.
You're fine. Okay, go on.
Second question is, what do you find the hardest thing? For this family, they find that their child's lack of speech is the trickiest.
The food issue.
You find ARFID, which we obviously spoke about last week.
We spoke about last week, and we got a lot of messages and support and just people going, I can't believe it's so difficult, and we didn't really know.
Never heard of ARFID.
Yeah. And it is tough. And that for me, yes, the communication, because that is involved in everything.
It's the communication.
But it's the food and the fact that he is still only eating 2 things.
Yeah. I mean, listen to last episode if you want to hear about the food, because we went into it, didn't we, about why it's so tricky.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, the food is really difficult for everything we said about last time, but I don't know if I find that, or kind of the communication, not just the speech, but the understanding, maybe. I might actually find that more difficult. I don't know. They're difficult in different ways, but like for me, that's really hard, because I put myself in his shoes and I'm like, oh, he's having all these thoughts that we all do every day, and we're lucky enough to be able to communicate them, and he can't. And that must just be so frustrating. So I find that on like an empathy level really, really difficult, because I just feel for him. But also like on a day-to-day practical level, it's so frustrating, because quite often with Noah, like there's something not quite right, or something he wants to find, he can't tell us, and it just causes absolute meltdown, doesn't it?
On a day-to-day level, it's the communicate. It's almost up there, the communication, and just if he could wait or know the process of, we'll get to that in a minute, or we'll do it. We know what you want, or sometimes, quite often, we don't know what he wants. So it's like trying to figure that out. And if he could just tell us. But yeah, for me, I get frustrated at the whole situation, and then sometimes I put myself in his shoes, and then it's just, I get a bit sad as to, God, it must be really tough for him, because he's the one that can't communicate. At least we can. And I feel really annoyed and angry at the situation, because you do.
But then it's almost that guilt, isn't it, after?
And then sometimes I try and bring it back down to, well, if I'm feeling like that, God, he must be 10 times worse.
And you do see that frustration. I think as he's getting older as well, and probably, I mean, he's always kind of known his own mind, I'd say, but we see it more and more now, don't we, that he's really clearly trying to communicate something and can't. And it's a little bit heartbreaking. So I find that really difficult. I guess the only thing that makes that easier compared to the ARFID is the ARFID, I feel like, and the eating, that it's almost like I just feel hopeless, like there's not anything we can do. Whereas at least with
it's sad.
But at least with the communication, it's like, right, we're trying visuals like first, and then we can start doing, and as he goes to school, that will start happening. Like with the weight, first we're going to do this, then we'll do that. The AAC we constantly model language. So I feel like we're on it with the speech, and like we do everything we can to support that. So that in some respects makes it easier, because at least you feel like you're doing a bit of a less rubbish job. Whereas compared to the eating, and it's like, actually, we say we do nothing, we do things all the time, but
try leaving food
it's
out,
not quite to the same extent, is it? Because there's just not as much known.
And it's like he was at your parents' and he just grabbed a chocolate lolly.
Yeah, which he has eaten previously.
But for months, we leave them out and stuff, and he just ignores it. And then just this one time, he just picked...
Mum was like, opened it, ate it straight away.
And that, to me, is like, how can we recreate that situation where he does that again? And we've been leaving them out all over the place, and he's just...
No thanks.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, what goes through his little mind is quite staggering.
I'd love to know. Well, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows if we'd love to know. Yeah. And also for me, like the other reason why I find like the lack of, or not the lack of communication, because he does communicate in other ways, but like the lack of speech and the difficulties in communication is because it's like, what's going to happen? Like, is he ever going to be able to say, I love you, mummy? Is he ever going to, like, just say mummy? Like, if he sees me, is he ever going to be able to tell us what he's done at school? Like, is he ever going to be able to have a chat with us and just have a conversation? Is he going to be able to make friends and talk to them when he's with someone that he doesn't know? Is he going to be able to make himself understood?
Because you have conversations to him and with him and including him, but it's all us, isn't it? Like, have you had a good day? You don't get any response.
But like, had fun at nursery today. You played on the tractor.
Exactly.
And it's like, we model that.
Yeah.
But like for me, that unknown is why I find it really difficult, because probably, like, being honest, more than anything, maybe not eating, but more than anything, I would just love for him to be able to express himself in whatever way, even if that's on the AAC.
He does express himself.
He does, but not like he's...
using his voice,
not fully, like he can't fully, even if, not even using his voice, even if he was able to talk through his AAC, just be able to fully tell me what he wants, tell me what he likes, what he loves.
Engage.
Yeah.
And we feel like you're kind of walking on you're kind of walking on eggshells and second guessing a lot, aren't we?
Yeah, like being detective.
We know what he likes. You're exceptionally good at like knowing before things happen.
As are you, but yeah.
But it's like we don't really know, and that's just on what we've seen before and what he's been like before. And yeah, imagine if he just come home and was like, I had a great day.
Yeah, yeah. Or like spoke about a friend at nursery or school he'd played with.
Just a conversation. Or give me a goddamn oat bar. Or those Mars bars in the cupboard, I really want them and you haven't given them to me for like 4 years. Like,
can't eat Mars bars, but yeah.
No, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
Like,
yeah. So I think maybe that for me is really hard. But
it feels like a world away.
Yeah.
It really does, doesn't it? Like,
and maybe it is. Who knows?
He's coming on and like he's saying words, but he's so how stubborn, how focused and stubborn he is. Like, you can't get him away from, if he wants something, then that's what he wants.
Oh yeah.
And you can't change that at all.
No, he gets fixated, doesn't he? Hyperfixated is something that autistic children can do, and he definitely does.
I'd say hours, almost.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get something, or what was it? So we went down to the river. Well, no, we were in. He likes going in my van for the moment and arranging his toys. And we were in the back of the van on the drive. And then I was like, right, let's go. And he does understand something. So he got out. And then rather than going back to the house, we went like the roadway and kind of like wanted to go down the path. So I was like, okay, well, let's just see. You always tell me. Follow his lead, so I was.
Honour his communication.
This was just before bedtime as well, so you're thinking, oh God, and I'm having all these thoughts about, is he going to run away? Is he going to cry? Is he going to end in a tantrum? And you go down and then...
Yes, is the answer to that.
Yes is the answer. And it's like, right, so down the way is like a river, and we walked to the river. There were some older kids with a ball. The ball had gone in the water. One of Noah's loves, two of Noah's loves is water and balls. This little boy was stripping down to jump into the water to get his ball. So what does Noah decide to do?
Well,
hold my hand, trying to get his t-shirt off and take his trousers off to go in the water right before bedtime. I was like, oh God. So if he could just kind of communicate, and but he was communicating, but the point being, it's like I was trying.
Yeah, he got you undressed, didn't he? He took your top off. He's like, come on, daddy. But it's tricky, isn't it? And part of that is just the fact that he was a 4-year-old not getting his own way. And actually, it probably was a bit more of a tantrum there because he did get over it when you were out of the picture.
So I haven't actually even explained the kind of tantrumy focusedness, but he came back all right. We didn't actually end up in the river, which was really good before bedtime, but then we got back here and he kind of wanted you to go with him and started taking his top off in the house, and then he had a big meltdown, didn't he?
So I was like, right, just go, because actually,
and I had to give him to you,
but also I think he was associating you with the river and going in the river, whereas when he knew it was with me, I think he knew it was game over and it wasn't happening. And it was, he was upset, but it wasn't pure meltdown. I would say it was more tantrum of not getting what he wanted. And actually, he is a 4-year-old who is going to have tantrums like any other child.
Yeah.
And for us, it's like that. Oh, is this a meltdown?
But it was, you had to go upstairs and calm him down for a good 45 minutes, hour. So it was... He was so fixated, and I'd love to go in there with him, but not before bedtime. And it's the communication of just going, you can't just do that right now. But it led to quite a
significant meltdown.
Yeah,
and it was difficult, wasn't it? Because it's like, actually, is he upset because he doesn't understand that we know he wants to go in the river, but he can't say river and he can't tell us that? So is it that he feels misunderstood, or is it that actually he just wants to do something and we're not letting him? So it's probably a mixture of both. But tricky times. Right, so we're going to talk about sleep this week. So for our first section, what we wish we knew,
that he wouldn't, that I wish he did, but I'd like more.
Sleep has always been terrible, hasn't it? Absolutely terrible. I mean, for the first 3.5 years,
that's one of the other things that we find hard, isn't it? Going back to the previous, like, they're the three biggest.
That's hard on us.
Yeah, he
sleep.
seems to
He doesn't
thrive
care.
on no sleep, but us.
Yeah.
And it's that when you're at 1 o'clock in the morning and you hear him banging on his gate and you're like, it's game over. And then you come in and like, get up. And I'm kind of ignoring trying
Not
to
fully
sleep.
true.
But it's tough, isn't it? That is
Yeah.
tough. Sleeping.
For the first 3.5 years, it was kind of every hour to 2 hour wake ups all night long.
And I don't know, you did most of it. You have done the majority.
Yeah.
You still do.
Up until the last sort of 6 months, really.
And I don't know how you've done that, because when we first were together, you used to love sleeping. You used to love
I love
laying.
sleep so much. Oh, I lay in.
But now you just are
Dreamy.
like, you're like a robot. You're like, you hear him and you're like, boom, straight out of bed, like, great, go to him. And I don't even hear him sometimes. And I'm like, well, that was a good night, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you must just have some sort of instinct in you. And also, like, going back to how you do it, you just don't have much choice, because if I don't go in there, he's not one of these kids who, people love to say, don't they? Oh, we'll leave him a while, he'll settle. Nah, you haven't been in our house at 2 a.m.
Everybody has opinion on sleep, don't they?
Yeah, all think they know best.
Do that. Oh, my little Johnny, she did this. Yeah. I did this. Yeah. I put them in the garden. I put them in the shed. Do you know? But everyone seems to go, oh, well, it's my way and that worked. But that doesn't fit. You know, and we know Noah better than anybody else. And we sleep trainers, this, that, the other. It's trust your gut, isn't it? Trust your gut.
And I think when you're really sleep deprived and desperate, and people like prey on that, is that what we're saying? Like, where they like take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Like, you are really desperate, and it's like sleep deprivation is like torture.
You'd do anything. We would do anything for more sleep.
And I think you kind of, at that point in time, when everyone's saying, well, I did this, and almost they think they're a sleep expert and it worked for me, or, oh, you just need to do this. And there's like a lot of judgment around sleep. And you kind of think, God, like, why have I done, like, how have I done this so badly that I've created this issue?
Let them cry.
Yeah.
Don't go to them. Yeah. Don't cuddle them. Yeah. Leave them in the cot, this, that, and it.
And like, it's against all your instincts as a loving, responsive parent.
I remember we tried it one time, didn't we?
Well, not for very long.
And you just were like, I can't do this.
Absolutely not.
And actually,
like,
it doesn't work.
No, not for that.
And
for some children, maybe it does, but I mean, like, it is a very divisive topic. But for us, like, there is not a chance in hell that would work.
So, and routine is very linked to sleep, and we don't get a lot. But on the positive, the last few months have been the best, not every day, but the best it's ever been.
Yeah, like,
and that's all down to us kind of being led by him and you being pretty much really attentive.
Yeah.
And me helping a little bit. And I'm not saying there aren't bad nights, because there are some really bad nights when you're like, God.
Yeah. In some respects, it's weird, isn't it? Because it has got way, way better in the fact that he doesn't have like the really wakeful nights of like every 2 hours anymore. Like, that just doesn't happen. No. It's either he sleeps through happy days, those nights. Yeah. He'll wake up like once or twice, or he's literally up for like pretty much the whole night.
Yeah, and they're the worst.
They're the tricky ones. And it's just really tricky to function and work and like manage life when you've been up from 2 till 6 or 2 till 7, or he started his day at 3 a.m.
So he's over 4, and up till just over 3.5, it was like having a newborn. That's it. Could have been every hour, every 40 minutes sometimes. Do you remember at the start, every 20 minutes he used to wake? And it's like
every 20 minutes, every 40 minutes.
You read so many apps. You were like, sleep cycle this. He's in deep sleep.
I remember, you can know it all, but it doesn't mean you can make your child sleep.
And you just kind of have to ride it out, don't you?
Yeah, and like, the thing is, obviously, early days when sleep was terrible, we did not know Noah was autistic. So that's when you really question yourself, and it's like, why is this happening to me?
We still do question, but...
And actually, like, if you look at kind of the, like, reason for sleep and the kind of evolution of sleep, actually, we are meant to be asleep for a few hours and then awake for a few, and then asleep for a few and awake for a few. Like that is...
Well, Noah definitely ticks that box.
Yeah, exactly. So he's just doing really good evolutionary sleep. I think like you do question everything you do, and like when you're sleep deprived, you question each other, don't you? And like
And the
you
biggest
have
support
one
has
view and I
been-
have another, and it's like navigating that. And actually when you're navigating that, but you also really need each other's support to function and live.
And it's again coming back to, oh, well, my child sleeps and this and that. And it's that stereotypical, oh, well, what are we doing wrong? We must be doing
and like
something
almost
wrong.
like blaming each other to an extent. Like I remember feeling like you kind of blamed me for being responsive, and it's like, well, why can't you just let him cry?
Yeah, that was a big conversation, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's like when you're hearing that other people are doing that and it's working, but then actually you hear that, oh, they've cut a tooth, and then, oh, they're back to not sleeping again. But like in that moment in time, you don't necessarily hear the whole conversation.
But the biggest advice would be, we're lucky because we're obviously, there's two of us.
Yeah.
And just to tag team, yeah, there has been moments when we do take it out on each other.
And also believe in the fact that actually when they are ready, like they sleep will improve. Like, and like when you're in the trenches of it, you feel like forever they're never going to sleep.
And you feel like nobody else gets it.
Yeah.
No, you are completely on your own.
And it is lonely at 3 a.m. when you've been up for like the 5th time. But yeah, sleep is tricky. And I think another thing is like when you are in the trenches of that, and I've definitely been guilty for this.
Good coffee.
Is you almost feel like you don't want to kind of try different things because you're so tired. So it's like, oh, like, I don't know. Now what I think is, oh, we should have like tried, and we did in the end, but it took us a long time. But like a nightlight, no light, nightlight, a sleep bag, no sleep bag, a different weight sleep bag, a duvet, no duvet.
Sleeping on the floor,
Sleeping
white
on the
noise.
floor, in a cot, white noise, no white noise. It's like actually...
In our room, not in our room.
It's like...
We've tried a lot.
We have tried, but I feel like we did most of that kind of experimenting as he got a bit older. I feel like when you're in the real depths of sleep deprivation, you almost can't, or I definitely, like, just can't be bothered to try something new because it's like, oh... And like I remember, like, if one night we did get a good sleep, it was like, right, let's recreate. Like, when did he nap? How long did he nap for?
And it was like hell on earth if we didn't. He went to bed at 7:35 and 2 seconds. It was like, right, he's got to go to bed then.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, he's 7:37. And it's like, oh, he's not going to sleep.
Yeah.
But routine does help him in terms of a bedtime, roughly.
Yeah.
And he likes to go to bed later, doesn't he?
100%.
And he doesn't need that much sleep in general.
Yeah, that was like a thing, wasn't it? Like, and again, it's like there's pressure around, oh, like what time does your child go to sleep? And it'd be lovely if we could put Noah to sleep at, like, someone I was speaking to was like, right, every night they go to sleep at 6 p.m. and they don't wake up or come out of their rooms in the morning. Can you imagine if we put Noah to sleep at 6 p.m? I mean, he wouldn't go to sleep, but
he'd be up at 1, 2, 3.
1.
I do miss an evening together. Like, that is tough.
Definitely.
Isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Our whole life seems to evolve and be with him, and it's like you generally do bedtime because he's easier.
Always. Yeah, generally.
Okay,
every night, unless I'm not here.
Yeah, and that's his routine, isn't
Yeah.
it? So you may start bedtime at 8,
Normally,
8:30,
7,
and then it's like 9:30, 10, and it's like, right, well, that's bedtime for me.
You're normally asleep before Noah.
So yeah,
but then equally, it's like that balance, isn't it? It's just you've got to make it work. Whereas we know if we put him to sleep at 6, either, well, he'd always be awake super early, and then actually it's like, what do you do the next day?
Yeah.
So it's kind of that, if we can put him to bed or if he can go to sleep at 9 but then actually sleeps, then that's what we're going to do for now. And also, again, going back to what we were saying earlier, like, nothing is forever. And like, it's changed so much over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like remembering that different things do pass. And do you remember that saying? This too shall pass. God. That was what I used to think a lot about sleep.
And if you haven't got a clue, that's what we talk about in episode 1.
Maybe. Lots of people messaged me saying, who was it the other day? They were like, I kept seeing this too shall pass coming up on Instagram. I nearly screenshotted it and sent it to Stuart. It's like, you should have done. But yeah, it's just thinking about the fact that actually try different things because every child's different, and you can kind of getting off the internet, oh, this will work, but actually they don't know your child.
Try it and see what happens.
Exactly.
And you'll know whether it's working or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, don't be afraid.
And like everything I ever read was like, a really dark room, no natural light, I mean, Noah sleeps with a night light on now and actually sleeps. He didn't before.
And he's also now getting himself
Oh, yeah,
up
that's funny, yeah.
and sleeping in his chair. Like, we've got a rocking
Did that again
chair.
today, didn't he?
And we go in the morning and there he is.
In his
head
so
on,
I think, bless him,
head on
I
his
think
armchair.
sometimes he gets in his chair and rocks himself back to sleep, which is what I would do in the chair and rock him. But like, yeah, we didn't know early days, obviously, that he was autistic when his sleep was terrible. But actually, his sleep is terrible, or has been terrible, because he's got so many sensory differences going on, hasn't he? Like he's maybe overwhelmed from the day before, or he's kind of underwhelmed and actually hasn't had enough sensory input.
Too much input, not enough input.
Exactly. It's like the food. No wonder the kid doesn't sleep. Like when he was just eating crisps, he's probably not going to sleep because he doesn't stay full.
Yeah.
All the sleep kind of advice, and when like I've spoken to the like specialist nurses, they've said, oh, like it's really important, not carbs and fat, make sure it's protein, or not carbs and sugar, make sure it's proteins. He doesn't eat any protein, so, and all he eats is carbs and bread, so again, no wonder.
And we're there, no kind of chocolate biscuits after sort of 7ish.
Yeah, we have started that, haven't we, which seems to have helped.
And just trying to be on it in terms of the amount that we offer him in terms of rolls, just so
he might stay full.
He is full.
And again, it's just like thinking about all those things, they are all going to impact him. And again, like as we spoke about in one of the other episodes to a question, it's like we have no idea what his problem is when he wakes because he can't tell us.
No.
So actually he might be lonely, he might be hungry, he might be tired, he might be thirsty, he might be hot, he might be cold, he might just not be tired.
We've done
anymore.
A lot, haven't we? We
have done lots of different ones.
Have done a lot of stuff, and it is crazy what you do as a parent to try and get your son, daughter to sleep, isn't it? And to try
and I, like speaking to kind of
them.
like within the autistic community, like it seems that so many autistic people, adults and children, do have disrupted sleep, and some sleep absolutely loads and need real like lots and lots of sleep. Others really don't need much sleep and don't make enough melatonin. And
on the melatonin, we do medicate him.
He has melatonin,
and that was another big. We've touched on it before, haven't we?
We didn't really go into it, to be fair.
But that was another real big decision. Like you're essentially drugging your child to go to sleep, and we had a lot of discussion. I was like, God, do we really want to give our child that?
Yeah, and like our kind of conversation was around the fact that like it's not a kind of sedative. It's not like a sedative.
It's natural. It's what the body.
It's effectively like a synthetic hormone. So it isn't natural, but we naturally make melatonin, and therefore, because Noah doesn't make enough melatonin, we are topping him up. But it's not like we're sedating him.
No.
We're just bringing up the levels of that hormone, I think.
And it's something that we give almost every day. He doesn't have
we try and do some
absolutely
breaks, don't we? Because again, you're meant to do that, otherwise it can become not effective. And also, I think it's so they don't build tolerance.
There's a little tiny tablet.
What I wish I knew. That's a good one. Top tip. So when we started the melatonin, he was just on liquid melatonin. Again, apparently loads of families didn't even know that was an option because it's more expensive. So the consultant will be like, oh no, it's tablets or nothing. So for Noah, we were like, well, he's definitely not going to be able to take a tablet.
So we'd have to have it in a syringe. And
Well, we didn't do that, did we? We put it in his water. So we put a little bit of water. It's colourless, it's tasteless.
Oh, if I put too much water mixture in the cup, you would go crazy before bedtime.
We're not crazy, but he would never drink it in time for bed, so then he wouldn't have it.
Yeah, I remember those times.
So what the key was to do a small amount of water, so that actually when he had a sip, he pretty much had all the melatonin.
Yeah.
And he drank that absolutely no problem. But the problem, or we found with that, is that it helped with the sleep onset, so falling asleep.
Yeah.
But it isn't slow release, obviously, because it's a liquid, so it didn't help with his wakefulness.
And he would go to sleep because do you remember the first time you gave it to him downstairs and we were like, oh my god, and then he literally
a sparko
within like 10 minutes, wasn't it?
We were like, what is this magic?
Do we move him?
All of a sudden Stuart didn't care so much about the fact that we were giving sleep medication. You were like, this is brilliant.
But you do need something.
And he woke up 2 hours later.
And then he woke up.
So anyway, then again, power of social media. I saw someone...
tablets, didn't you?
Yeah, I knew about the tablets, but they're like a micro tablet. So they're tiny. They're like 3 millimeters diameter.
Literally, if I open the packet, they all sort of drop out.
Yeah, bit of a nightmare.
I'm not very good at doing that.
No. but I was like, still, like, there's no foods. Obviously, he only eats a bread roll and a biscuit, or before that, crisps, that we could hide the tablet in to get him to take it.
So
Noah's not going to be able to take a tablet.
It to him. He couldn't just
But anyway,
swallow it.
on I think it was Facebook actually, I saw that someone had put this tiny tablet in the end of a syringe and then syringed it into their child's mouth. With Noah, that wasn't going to work. And then I said to Stuart, I've got an idea. Stuart was like, that's never going to work, Em. I was like, brilliant, thanks for the faith. Does it work though, Stuart?
It does, and I'm
But
very
basically,
grateful.
so he luckily, and that was thanks to you, started drinking from a bottle with a straw.
Yeah.
And we put the little tablet into the end of the straw. We had to play around with it. And then he literally just sucks up the drink as normal, swallows the tablet.
Yeah.
Sometimes he does know if it's like a bit too far in, but into the straw. But like literally revolutionary, wasn't it? I was like, I'm a genius.
Yeah.
I was like, it's worked, Stuart, it's worked.
Well done.
And then actually, I think that has actually been when his sleep has really improved as well, because they are slow release. And like we say, like some nights are still absolutely horrendous.
And you see him just before bedtime, like literally
Wild.
bouncing off the sofas.
And probably overtired, but
and
he
it's like,
can't
well,
calm.
how can your brain switch off? And you say sometimes your brain, I'm quite good at switching off, but your brain doesn't switch off.
No.
So for him, if he's being physically like all over the place, then his brain must be bouncing off the
100%.
walls, and it's like, well, how are you going to sleep?
To
you
calm.
can't just to calm
And
it
that's
down,
why I
so-
think that's really helped him, because it just relaxes him and like makes him feel a bit drowsy so that he can switch off. Because also I was like, actually, how horrible, like if you're really tired but you can't get to that state where you're calm enough to sleep.
And do you remember he gets so overtired that
He'd be upset.
and then he'd just carry on.
Yeah.
And you'd look at him, and not when he's upset, but you would think, oh, everyone used to say, oh, he's not tired. He doesn't look tired. He doesn't look tired at all. And we would know that
like,
he
yeah,
definitely
right.
was. And if we stayed out or we didn't come back and try and get him to sleep at that point, then it would be kind of game over for the night.
And again, judgment, you know, people are thinking, oh, they're making such an issue out of nothing.
Yeah.
But actually it's like, well,
We have to, because that impacts our whole life.
well, and just his regulation, like he was absolutely beside himself, wasn't he, when he got overtired? And although he looked absolutely fine, that was us knowing that he wasn't. He was super overtired. But yeah, I think like the main thing is that actually believe in yourself, try different things. Everyone does sleep in the end to some extent, or there's kind of like the option of melatonin or different sleep medications. But it is really tough. Like, talk to people about it as well, because it can feel really lonely when you're super sleep deprived.
Get some nice coffee in.
100%. I mean, that's why we bought a really expensive coffee machine, didn't we?
That was a big
We
purchase.
were like, if we haven't slept for 4 years, we at least need some nice barista coffee.
And we don't go out that much, so nice
good old
coffee that
coffee,
helps
that
in the
helps for
morning
sure.
or in the middle of the night. Yeah.
It's funny now. Sleep.
Ooh, here we go.
What's funny? I actually don't know. I can't think of one for sleep.
So sleeping, when I used to put him in the
God.
washing basket. So
Oh,
he's
yeah.
obviously quite small. He was obviously quite small.
He was
And
really small.
it was the rocking thing. And he used to go to sleep. So I used to walk him every day.
Yeah.
This is when he used to sort of hallucinate about
Not
the fact that
hallucinate.
you would hear him
Yeah,
and
phantom cries.
he wasn't crying, but he would go to sleep on me for quite a considerable amount of time, give you a bit of a break.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
was
sure if
like,
you would,
I
but
don't- well,
I think we might have just blocked that out. But anyway,
but in order to get him to sleep, we used to have to
shake
rock him.
Well, rock.
But he used to want
Vigorously.
real physical touch, like I'm
Deep
talking
pressure,
like deep
hold
pressure,
him tight,
hold
and
him really
almost
tight.
like a bounce, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But quite a significant bounce.
And I remember being in the bedroom like with you.
Oh, when
and,
he was
like,
screaming, and then
rotating from side to side, and you're thinking.
I remember when one of our friends was like, "Oh my god, what the hell?"
But so I went from that, because it did used to work,
Yeah, and he got so overtired otherwise, because
And
I
he'd be
remember
crying wouldn't he?
crying on the
Oh.
bed while you were effectively like really vigorously rocking him to sleep, because otherwise he just would not go to sleep. Never did that child, even to this day probably, has he ever apart from in the car, like when he was older, just fallen asleep, has he? No. Never.
No.
Like
no.
when people used to, he would never go in a pram. Like you couldn't just push him to sleep. He would, in the carrier, he used to go to sleep if you did like a real special bounce and walk.
pat his bottom.
Yeah, pat his bottom vigorously.
Yeah.
But like he never just fell. I remember people saying, "Oh, when he's tired enough, he'll fall asleep." He never did, and he just used to get even as a newborn, like when they meant to sleep all the time, he didn't,
Yeah.
and he used to get so sad.
So overtired and
and
hysterically
it was
crying.
yeah.
And you kind of
makes
look
me
back
wanna
now
cry
and you think,
thinking about it.
God, he's just reaching out
And,
for us to
like,
get him to sleep. Like,
yeah,
I
and
need
also
help.
like was all those sensory differences, wasn't it? We didn't know it at that point, but actually he needed the movement, he needed the deep pressure, he wanted the rhythmic touch and like the noise, but we didn't know that. And obviously we did it because you respond to your child and what they're crying at you.
And we tried rocking him in the pushchair inside and getting a
with the
little rocket thing which would vibrate.
Go back to your funny
but going
now.
back to the funny now, I put him in the washing basket with pillows around him, sort of like wedged, and I tied the handles together and was
I don't think people can quite imagine.
was swinging.
The rocket.
But he would go to sleep.
But to be fair, it wasn't always the washing basket. You quite often used the like insert of the pram. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And like you.
And he felt safe and secure, and
and
rather
he's
than
like-
having to hold, I remember like transferring him into there and just be like, oh God, yeah.
But yeah, and also it wasn't just the washing basket. It was the what were those things called? Were they sleepy heads? Was that what? Do you remember those flat things with like the
I can't really remember.
I can't remember. I think it's called a sleepy head. Don't know. But then you would tie it around him so that he felt compact and had that pressure.
And then you had to
just
swing.
literally swinging, rocking him.
Yeah.
Remember our niece coming round and like was like, right, what contraption have we got today to try and get him to sleep?
Yeah, I know.
But the things you do. But yeah, that was a funny one.
Yeah.
And just also like funny, but as in like
The white noise that you have blaring out, that was a thing, wasn't it? It's
still
funny
have
now,
white
like we
noise.
still have white. You can't sleep without it now.
yeah, that's ironic, isn't it? I used to hate noise when I was trying to sleep, but because obviously the white noise used to be on and play through the monitor.
So white noise is like just a general, like a crackling
Yeah, I think
TV.
everyone knows what a white noise is.
Well, I didn't, and when
Really?
you said about it, yeah.
And
A constant noise.
yeah, ask Alexa, she'll play it for
Yeah,
you.
like a crackling.
Our Alexa sometimes will be like, do you know you have played like 1 million hours of white noise?
Yeah.
But anyway, and because obviously we used to play it through the monitor, we would always hear it because I'd have the monitor on. I can't sleep without it now.
No.
The other one, which is just bizarre, is like literally, and people don't believe us, I don't think, when we say this, but if he has more than 10 hours sleep in 24, even if it's by like 2 minutes, he's awake the next day, isn't he, in the night for at least 3 to 4 hours. Like, how is that?
And we played around, you played around with earlier bedtimes, kind of trying to let him stay awake, but it's that magical 10 hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
10 hours of sleep. If he gets more, then it's game over.
Absolutely.
If he gets less, he can cope.
Yeah.
But he may need a nap.
Over those 10 hours, you are... and also, if you go to sleep before 8:45, almost to the minute, game over. Definitely going to be up for 3 or 4 hours.
So it's
One night, he went to sleep at 8:42, didn't he? And I was like, oh my God, Stuart, it's before 8:45. And you were like, it's fine, Em. It's 8:42. You made it past 8:30. And I was like, I'm worried. Anyway, come 2 o'clock, who's awake? Noah.
Yeah.
Who's wide awake? Noah. 2 till 6.
3 hours, 3 or 4 hours.
It was actually 4 hours that day, yeah.
And he's
And people
buzzing.
were like, oh, is he upstairs chilling?
No.
No.
Like, I put a post up and he's on it. Like, he's awake. He'd want to be running outside.
It's like the daytime, Tim.
Yeah.
He is fully ready for the day.
Cooking his rolls in the middle of the night so he eats. Yeah.
Crazy.
Fun. Sleep is a funny one, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Right,
Really
what
is.
shall we end on, Stuart? Shall we
Yeah,
do
we're nearly
our
there.
Can I Just Say, which is our moan, or shall we do Stuff People Say? You decide.
Stuff people say, stuff people say.
Oh, okay.
Stuff people say.
No moaning this week. Whew, people aren't going to expect
No.
that. Right, I actually had one for you, but I won't
then.
go there. No, we'll go Stuff People Say.
Okay.
Everyone's a little autistic these days.
Yeah. I mean,
hear that.
It is talked about a lot more, and people try and kind of, I think, sympathise or kind of like...
What, by saying everyone's a little bit autistic, you reckon?
I think, and it's like, oh, I do a quirky thing at night time or whatever, and it's like, I think they're just trying to find common ground and
Yeah, maybe.
Is that the right word? Like, familiarise it and just be...
Normalise.
And have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I think people are doing it with all this stuff people say. I think people's intentions are generally right.
Sometimes you don't say that.
No, I do think they are. But it doesn't make
I think
it.
they are, but it doesn't make it any less
better. Because actually, like, everyone isn't a little bit autistic. Like, that really kind of downplays it, doesn't it? Like, actually, like, no, like, you wouldn't say, oh, everyone's a little bit blind.
No.
Or everyone's a little bit, like, physically impaired, like, as in disabled in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're not. Everyone's not a little bit autistic.
Autism is a spectrum.
Yeah, 100%.
And it can sort of start over here and finish kind of over here, and then it's like.
But I guess it's like, well, actually, it is actually a neurodevelopmental condition. Like, there is a kind of threshold for that diagnosis, and it's like people say, oh, everyone's a little bit autistic, and I'm like, well, they're not actually, not really. No. But I 100% agree. Like, it definitely comes from like a normalising it place.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of downplays it and actually means that people with that significant need therefore wouldn't necessarily get the same support that they need, because it's like, oh, everyone's a bit autistic.
Yeah, it's like trying to find that kind of what's the tipping point.
There was a terrible, actually, this, I hadn't thought about this, but for that one, but there was a terrible, I complained actually, a terrible newspaper report in the Telegraph, and it was basically saying that neurodiversity is just a fad. And it was such a terrible report. I don't know if it's been taken down or not. I'm sure it will get absolutely tons of complaints. But it's like, how, like, I don't even know what the word is, but how awful that people will say, oh, it's just a fad. Like, who would pretend that they're autistic? Like,
I think people that don't know. Like, if you are living what we do day in, day out, you would sacrifice a lot
for it not to
to not impact.
And I almost
us
think
and
that
him
although that isn't people's kind of intention, if they say, oh, everyone's a little autistic, but I think that kind of narrative of everyone thinking that makes the whole idea that, oh, neurodiversity is just a fad, or everyone's autistic these days, like, it plays into that. And it's like, actually, that really, for those people that are autistic, is quite negative and quite it will become quite a problem, I think. So yeah, I think that's a really hard one. And also, like, some people are just a bit quirky and just have, like, everyone's personality is different. Just because someone's a bit quirky does not mean they're autistic.
Right.
The other one, he'll grow out of it.
Yeah. He'll grow out of
autism is what I as in.
Oh, right. Okay.
As in, he'll grow out of it with autism.
Yeah. I don't think he will, somehow. As in, I think he will learn to cope with things, and we have learned so much to cope with it, but he'll grow out of it? No.
He definitely won't.
He definitely
As in,
won't.
Again, like, autistic is like a lifelong condition. He 100% is not going to grow out of it.
No.
Like, I would hope that in an inclusive world where there's lots of accommodations and kind of support, that, like you say, he'll cope.
And he can learn to thrive with it.
Yeah. But, like, autism isn't something you grow out of. So just when people say that, I'm like, oh dear. You've got no idea.
How's he getting on today? It's like, well, he's pretty much the same as yesterday. And it's like,
we're still sleep deprived. Yeah. We're still not eating. Yeah, but we're still not talking and understanding.
We're still
just about living.
Just about coping, yeah.
But yeah, they're funny ones, aren't they? Do you want to end on our moan?
Well, I haven't got one this week, I don't think.
I mean, that's fine by me.
I forgot that we were recording, and I was like, I build them up, and you're very good at remembering, and I'm not.
You do a lot of
Don't
annoying
worry,
things.
I'll have some for next week.
Okay, no, just one. You don't get two next week. Your chance is now or never.
Go on then.
So, can I just say, when something goes wrong, and I am not at fault in any way, shape or form, please don't take it out on me. Do you know what specific example I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
What, you actually don't know, where you were really mean to me?
I'm never mean.
And you were like swearing and shouting.
When he put my hard drive in the sink.
Yeah.
With all of our photos and video from like a good few years. And Noah thought it was a boat and put it in the sink.
That time.
And you left it right by the sink.
No.
That's why I was angry.
Not true.
Just a little bit.
You're allowed to be angry, completely justified. Noah put your hard
And you just
drive.
thought it was a joke, but
No,
we
I
can't get any of
didn't.
that. It sat in a bowl of rice in our kitchen. I'm still praying that we might be able to start it up. But yeah, that's why I was a tad, tiny little bit annoyed.
And you're allowed to be annoyed, but not at me. I didn't leave the hard drive anywhere. You left the hard drive out. The hard drive has got a blue case on that makes it a bit look like a boat. So Noah, what does Noah do with anything that looks like a sea animal or something that should go in water? Puts it in water. So yeah, that's my moan.
I really wish I had one to get them come back to you. You've always got something. It's like when we're in an argument. You're like, come on then. And I'm like, I need to make notes.
No, I don't say come on then. I just like, can you tell me what you mean by that? And you never can.
No. Okay, I'm going to have notes next time.
Okay, I'll believe that when it happens. Yeah, that's my can I just say, because you were so angry at me. And I was like, I didn't put the boat in the water. Noah did.
God, yeah, that really did annoy me.
I was glad you weren't annoyed at him, because what you should have been is annoyed at yourself and not left hard drives by the sink.
Well, they were on the side.
He puts
exactly
them in
right
water because he thinks they're boats. But yeah, it was very annoying.
Fine.
I can totally imagine why.
Fine.
So no moans.
No, this week's been all right. He hasn't slept the best, has he? But no, it's been all right.
Happy days.
Yeah, happy days.
Don't know what we'll talk about next week, but if
got?
you've got any suggestions, then let us know.
Yeah.
We can talk about anything that you would find helpful. If not, we'll choose a random one.
And as always, thanks for all your support and messages that we've had.
Absolutely. We get so many messages personal to us, but no one's brave enough to leave them on the videos, it seems,
so
are
if
they?
you can, that'd be
so
cool.
yeah, leave them on the videos, because hopefully that means it will get seen by more people and actually therefore help more people. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Find
Check
us
it out.
on Spotify, Apple, Overcast.
Yeah.
What's the other one? YouTube. And then we've got the social media pages as well. But yeah, give us a listen. And we'll see you next
so
week.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy dreams, love's repairs.